everyone. My name is Anika Verma, and I am the Chief Communications Officer at the Steamboat. For those of you who don't know, we interview various students who have showcased an interest in STEM and our leadership through exceptional means. I am pleased to announce our next student, Joyce Hai. Before we get started, I would like Joyce to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Joyce. I am currently a freshman at Cornell and I'm studying human biology, health, and society, and I plan to minor in global health. I am the co-founder of ScienceHolic, and that's kind of like my main activity in STEM.
All right, so can you tell us a little bit about ScienceHolic and what it does?
Yeah, so we started ScienceHolic in during COVID time, so in 2020, and our like mission is to kind of debunk the hard scientific concepts and also just like anything STEM related so that students kind of understand it better. The main reason we started in COVID is because we feel like during the COVID times there's like a lot of scientific information coming out, and those are like mainly in the forms of like scientific journal or research paper, and it is really hard for like just high school students or really just anyone to understand. So we decided to create like a magazine and try to explain those concepts in an easier way so that people can understand, and therefore like making STEM more accessible. And just by creating like the magazine and adding the illustration, we hope that it kind of like makes like things easier, and um it's just like a way for students to like get involved more into STEM and just learn more from that.
All right, so you talk about this magazine that you guys work towards. So can you tell us a little bit about like what kind of content you put in it? How do you work? How do you build this magazine and how you distribute it?
Yeah, so our first edition is obviously about COVID-19, since like that's the most prevalent thing. And we kind of just came up with topics and things that we believe that should be talked about. And we had like a group of content members to write the articles, as well as a group of editors and just artists to edit and draw those articles so that a magazine formatter can put it all together. And we mainly publish it on our website, and we have like done 10 magazine editions so far. We just like released our latest one last actually this month. um yeah, and um those are mainly just like some miscellaneous ones about just anything STEM, and or we had themed editions. So we have done like a medical themed edition, a biology one, and also two chemistry one, and those also come along with our like annual conference in the summer, so that it's also like a good way to share information and just adding on from like the conference.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I missed it, but how do you guys like distribute this magazine?
Oh yeah, so we mainly just put it on our website, and people can read it online.
All right. You also mentioned a conference that you guys host, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we started like hosting webinars and conferences, just like inviting different like speakers in STEM, or professors or students, and they can talk about their experience and their journey. So students can like learn from their journey and advice, and also they can also like ask them questions about anything they have in the field, and just any question regards to how to like get into the field or like what to do to get in. And I think those have been really helpful for me, especially to just like know more people who has like gone through something that I'm interested in. And I think all our audience like would feel the same. And in terms of the conference, it's like in the summer, and it's gonna be like a week long, and we just try to host different sessions about like a specific topic. So for this year, it's gonna be engineering, and we're gonna invite a lot of different partnered organizations so that they can also share like a session and talk about whatever they want in the umbrella of engineering or whatever the year's theme is.
All right. So how many years has ScienceHolic been running?
Um, it's I think it's 4 years now. And we have done three conferences so far. Um, and we're getting into the fourth.
All right, that's very exciting. And so let's backtrack a little bit. How did you start ScienceHolic, or did you start it? How'd it go?
Yeah, me and my friend like co-founded this organization, and it was mainly like her idea of like incorporating like journalism with STEM and just like creating a magazine to share like I guess STEM knowledge. And right now I think for me it was really helpful because so I'm pre-med and all of this is like coming from like my passion in biology and like just science in general. And I know that there's like a lot of students around the world that don't really have this opportunity or I guess like get into depth about like just learn about like STEM or science. So I think it's a really good cause in terms of like trying to get everyone involved and also just like to share these knowledge for people who might not have it in their school curriculum or just I guess like in general.
So that's really great. You got to co-found something so special and so important and something that matched with your passion. What was the process like? You guys got this idea. How did you like give it a kickstart? How did you get it moving forward? And what like how did it grow?
Yeah, so I think during like the COVID times, there's like a lot of people have like just a bunch of free time because I mean at a time probably like the school like online schooling is not that developed. So like a lot of times like people don't have that many work and like that many class. So people were able to like volunteer their time into it and just like produce articles or if they're like into drawing, they're willing to like draw several pieces. And I think we mainly grew from like our social media. Like eventually we had a social media team and outreach team. So we were able to like share our organization with like just the online platform and also just like having like an application form so that students can apply. And I think that's how our organization grew.
All right. So I assume that these are high school students that are mainly on your editorial team.
Yeah.
So are they mostly based in one location or are they like separate places? How
Um, yeah, so I think it's like I think we have like more people in the East Coast, but at the same time, like we have like some people from like different countries as well. So, I mean, it's online, so like anyone can really access like our organization. So, we have like a couple of different countries, especially during like the COVID time, where like everyone is like online trying to find something new to do, I guess.
All right. How big would you say your team is? Like, do you have a number or thing?
Um, it's currently around 90 members and we're still trying to like grow and develop and so like that's kind of like our aim is to just grow it bigger and we're currently having some like more I guess programming or just like projects that we're trying to develop and one of them is like ScienceHolic review where students can submit their I guess um like science research journals and also we're trying to reconnect with our alumni who already graduated like from high school and who is already in college so we're trying to build that network and we're also potentially gonna I guess outbranch and like creates like different sub I guess branch and like clubs in high school and even in college.
How far do you see ScienceHolic going? How long do you see yourself pursuing this? And like, what is your future and vision for ScienceHolic in like the next maybe 5 or 10 years, if you plan to pursue it for that long?
Yeah, so I think it would be really nice to so right now everything is online, which is like it has its own like advantage and like also disadvantage. So I also really want to just like um put it in schools and like just having like in-person teams and like like just like through clubs and I think it would be better because you can actually like do a magazine and also like just print it out and like distribute it like in your school community and also I feel like it would be also really nice to just like involve charity work in it so I think in on like through like this online platform I think it's a little bit hard to incorporate those things that I can like I want to pursue so I think just like growing it bigger and like having like different school clubs and stuff like that. So I guess I know that it's at least gonna go for like throughout my college career, and hopefully like someone will take over and just like continue to grow it.
All right. What obstacles or challenges did you face in your journey with like ScienceHolic?
I feel like it's been a relatively smooth journey. I feel like um the main problem that we had sometimes is that some years there would be less members applying, so we can't like produce as much as I wanted to. And another thing is just like some things that are just like out of your control. So our first Instagram account um is actually like blocked, so like we just can't get in for some reason, and we tried to contact like Instagram and it didn't work out. So I guess we kind of like lost a lot of our followers, and then we had to like grow from like the beginning. So that was kind of hard, especially that was kind of right before our first ever conference. So like just advertising for it was like really hard, and it was like kind of hard to like gain a lot of audience where we had like this really good I guess like programming. We invited like a lot of like pre-med students, like people in med school, like also doctors, and also just like nurses and everyone like in the healthcare field. So I think that was like kind of hard for us.
So, what like tips or which suggestions would you give for someone looking or interested in starting their own like organization that makes magazines and information to put out for STEM?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to like stay organized. So like right off the bat, like we had a really organized like Google Drive, and we had like clear outlines or like deadlines of like when is like a project due, and like we ensure that all the members are meeting those deadlines like by communicating, just like sending like direct message and like reminding them. And I think those are really important because especially with like a team of like so many people, it's super important just to meet the deadlines and just like get everything like published. And even like right now, like we still have like that system, and I think it really helps us to like keep track of like what we're doing and like just making sure that everything is on time. And another big thing I feel like is just like don't be afraid to like try new things. So I know we have developed like stuff that just like never really worked out, and then we kind of just like set it aside, and like we know that it's a great idea, but maybe like at the time it's not like a really good idea to pursue it. So for example, during the COVID times, we were like trying to develop a like tutoring team so we can like help younger students like to just like learn English, math, whatever. But we at the same time were developing all of our webinar programs. So we realized that like, you know, two big projects at once, that's like not gonna work. Like there's just not enough time and people to like pursue those. So like we decided to like drop the tutoring team, and like that worked out fine eventually. So I think like just don't be afraid to like try different things, and if it doesn't work, like don't be afraid to like drop something and just come back to it. And like same thing, like with the club thing that I talked about earlier, like we had this idea like before as well, and we just realized it's not like a great time to pursue it. And like right now we're trying to pick it back up, like, and hopefully we'll have some like clubs in schools like by next school year. So that's like two big advice I would say.
All right. Now let's move a little bit to more like just about you and your journey. So, can you tell us like where you're based, like which state you're in, and other things that you did in STEM aside from Scienceaholic?
Yeah, so currently I'm in upstate New York, and so I'm pre-med, so like right now most of my activities are like related to that and building my, I guess, like journey for that. So I volunteer at a hospital in the emergency department, and I think those like patient interactions are very helpful. And I'm also in a research lab, and I just kind of like just got started. So I'm still learning like the basics, like reading research papers and like just learning how to analyze data. And I think those two things are like the main things that I'm doing in terms of like STEM. But I can go in more to like what I did in high school if you would like.
Oh, yes, that would be really helpful because I know you told us that you are a freshman at Cornell, and that's definitely pretty competitive college to get into. So we would love to know what you did to get there.
Yeah, so I think ScienceHolic is definitely like main one. Like I have over like I think 1,000 hours. So I think that definitely like has most of like the time. But other than that, I also like participated in some um summer programs in like different universities. And I think those really helped me in terms of like figuring out like what I really want to do in college. So sophomore year, I did a biomedical engineering program at Johns Hopkins. And like that really made me realize that like biomedical engineering or like just engineering specifically might not be like a major that I want to pursue since like it just involves like too many things, I guess. And I am more interested in like the I guess section of like science and social science in terms of like like medicine and healthcare is not only about like treating people. There's also like an aspect of like the socioeconomic factors or just other factors in general. So I realized that that was not my route, but it's like still an area that I'm really interested in. So that really helped me like I guess to like form my personal statement and like um realize like what I'm like truly interested in this science field. I have also been involved in like some mental health advocacy like clubs and just like organizations, and I think those are really important because I feel like during COVID times I guess not a lot of things about like mental health are talked about, and I think throughout like these years like the trend are getting better in terms of like the stigma behind mental health and mental disorders. And I think that's like a really good improvement that like our society and like just online platforms are making. And I guess my last volunteer component is just tutoring. In COVID times I did a lot of tutoring, and just like when the school system was like kind of down, like I kind of helped and filled those gaps in terms of what students should be learning like during their like actual school year, I guess.
All right, so I have a lot of questions about things that you've asked. So I'll start from the summer program. So you mentioned that you are in New York, and I'm actually pretty close to John Hopkins myself. I'm living in Maryland. So I know that those programs are quite like competitive to get in. So did you apply from New York and come all the way down to John Hopkins? And what made you like stand out to John Hopkins for the summer programs?
Um, it's actually like an online program, like because of COVID and everything.
Okay.
So I kind of just like stayed. But I feel like it's really important to just like, because I feel like in high school I didn't really have like that many experience in terms of just like science in general. So I talked a lot about like my schoolwork and just like my passion for it. And I think it's really important to like also mention like your hobbies and like just make yourself like I guess unique and just like talk about how like science impacts you in general. So I think that would help with your application.
All right. You also mentioned that you were like part of various like mental health clubs. So were these also online, I assume, because of like COVID and things like that?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little about like what kind of work you did in these programs and maybe their names or anything like that?
Yeah. So I did um I was like an interviewer for one organization and I don't think they're active anymore, but I mainly just like interview one or two mental health workers or just like someone who has like a story that want to share, and I interview them either like through Zoom or just through email, and they will like write a typed response, and I will like publish that like on the website and also on the Instagram, and just like so that like everyone can see um I guess like stories or like just like mental health tips. And I have also had it's like part of like a bigger program with like COVID. So basically we found some like volunteer psychologists and like just social workers. And we also just had like a 24-hour like line where people can like text and talk about their feelings to us. And if we find it's like necessary, we also like pair them with like those volunteer social workers or psychologists. And I think that's like the main two things that I did.
Yes, these are very important, specifically as like people, it's the awareness is increasing, and I think it's really great that it is. Are there any other like STEM clubs or organizations that you were part of during your like high school journey? Any STEM achievements that you made through ninth to 12th grade?
I think those are like the main ones, but I also think that there's like other activities that I did. Like I played like two varsity sports. I also like danced. So I think like those are also important, like in terms of like your whole application, because it makes you like you like a human, like just talking about, I guess, like your various like hobbies will also help. And I think those are definitely um activities that I put on like the top of like my list in terms of like my application.
So varsity sports definitely like take up a lot of time and a lot of commitment. So how were you able to balance all of this workload with ScienceHolic, the mental health organizations, and your two sports that you play?
I think it's really important to just like manage your time really well. Like I have like a calendar system, I have like a Notion to-do list. I think those like really helps me to like allocate my time into different things. And of course, like sometimes you gotta prioritize certain tasks and like leave some behind. And also like working in a team, it's really important to also just rely on other members of the team. And obviously there's like other leadership positions in ScienceHolic, and I'll just like say something like, I'm kind of busy this week. Would you mind just like make sure that you can make sure this is done? And usually like they'll be like, yeah, I'll do that. And like it makes everything a lot easier. So I think just like good communication skills with like people in the organization and also just having like a good schedule. I think those two are the main things.
All right. So what like sparked your interest into STEM, and who are your inspirations for STEM?
I think it was like in middle school, I had like a really good science teacher and we did like biology, and I actually like dissected a sheep heart, I think. And I think that really like sparked my interest in terms of like I think biology is really cool and I really just want to learn more about it. And she is like, I guess, like super passionate about science. So like I think that also makes an impact in terms of like you can really see like when a teacher is passionate like about the subject they're teaching. And we also learn how to like write lab reports, and she's like super like specific and clear in terms of what to do. And I think I really enjoyed the aspect of like the, I guess, like the organization of like the lab reports, and I just really enjoy that.
All right. Yeah, that's like the clarity, the vision, being able to see something. I definitely enjoy that too. So, what are your goals? Like, I know you're in pre-med, so what like do you hope to do in the future? What job do you hope to have?
Yeah, so I'm like definitely still on the pre-med route, and in terms of like specialties, I'm like still open and still exploring. So hopefully in the next few years, like I'll have like an idea, but just in general, being able to like help the community is something that I really want to do.
All right. So, what STEM issues do you care about? I know you mentioned so much about like volunteering and you want to be able to help the community and things like that. But like, what's an issue in STEM that you're passionate about?
I think it's still like mainly based in like health and healthcare system. So I think just like education and advocacy for health is really important. I feel like right now we're like kind of shifting from like infectious disease to like chronic illness. And I think that shift, like people might not be like caught on. I feel like it's very important to just educate like the community about like the importance of like a healthy lifestyle, like eating healthy, exercising, stuff like that, because like chronic disease is not something like that's like has a direct onset on someone. Like the onset is going to be much later, and people might not realize what they're doing now can impact a lot for the future. And I think there's not enough education around it, especially like in high school. Like you don't talk about um hypertension or like diabetes, but like it will happen if you don't have like a good, I'm not saying that it will definitely happen, but like
Yeah.
it, it's most likely gonna happen if you don't have like a good lifestyle and like you're not eating nutritious food. And another thing that I feel like people don't realize is that like even if like you're eating a lot, it doesn't mean that you're like eating like enough nutritious food, especially with like a lot of like fast food restaurants right now that like you might be eating a lot of calories, but they're most likely non-nutritious and like you're not getting like the vitamins and like the nutritions that you need. So I feel like just like education around those and just community awareness is very important, and it's something that I care.
All right. And I think we'll ask this one last question to wrap this up. So what latest innovation or cheap research that has come out in STEM that has like really caught your interest and you think like has an impact?
I've been like, I guess like reading a lot of stuff like about global health, and I think an important thing to note is that like, um, there's like, I guess like environments really impacts like the waterways and stuff like that, and it really makes a big impact um on like the human population, and we might not be realizing it. Like clean water is very important, and there's like still places that don't have those facilities and access. And I think it's just like very important to be mindful and just know that, because a lot of times like I'm learning in class and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that that exists, you know. So that's why I also feel like just like organizations like science organizations in general, just like being able to share those facts online, like, well, maybe like teach someone something new. And I think that's like very important.
We've also been hearing a lot about like AI and how do you see that like in the medical field coming in, like that technology?
I think it's like good in the sense that um like you mean AI meaning like
Artificial intelligence and like the medical field and things like that. How do you see that in the future, kind of?
I feel like technology has its like pros and cons, but mainly I feel like technology really allowed us to have like a organization in terms of like in the like medical field. So like before electronic I guess record system was developed, not a lot of like procedures are standardized. And I feel like with the help of those things, we were able to like have like less errors in terms of like what to do, and just like steps needs to be taken for each patient. So I feel like that's good. And in terms of um I don't think like AI will ever like replace doctors, because I feel like there's so much like there's like a much more broader aspect of medicine. Like for example, you have to take someone's like culture and religion into consideration, and just like human interactions is very important. So I don't think like maybe AI will answer all the medical question that you ask correctly, but I feel like it's lacking like a big part of medicine.
Like the personal feeling that and personal connection that you can build with a person, obviously, artificial intelligence can definitely not do that. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, that's
Uh,
probably.
All right. I wanted to thank Joyce for joining us this week on our student interview series project. And if you're interested in getting interviewed by our team, be sure to check out the form in the description. We're always looking for interested students, and we interview anyone between the ages of 14 and 22, but we'll always make exceptions for grad students who are doing amazing work. We hope to see you back here again on Monday for our next installment. Thank you.